Peace, brothers. Peace, brothers. Just wanted to drop this video to just shout out my brothers that's this past Thanksgiving, or my Ronin, or my lone wolves out there who maybe put in an extra shift at work, or played the crib at home and just stayed to themselves, or even the ones that got with their family, their loved ones, man. Hope you brothers enjoying this time to reflect, to look over the past year and think about what you've done and we don't have to celebrate Thanksgiving per se as to what it is, but it is a good time to be in a reflective mode, into a mode of thought and contemplation, right? You think about the last year, how it's been for you, what you survived, what you've maintained, how you've grown, what you've learned, the wisdom you've obtained. These are all things of value, right? And we are in this community of men. We are Ronin, you know what I mean? We are outcasts. We are lone warriors. We run with a small pack. We do what we do to survive. You understand? And we stay dangerous, right? And that's the beauty of it. You know, I had a little something I went to yesterday for the holiday with some friends from, expats and things like that. And, I participated, but in my own way, right? It was a lot of food there, but I didn't overindulge in anything. I kind of was really just tasting stuff. I didn't overload on a lot of sweets and alcohol. I just tasted a couple little different chickens and interesting things, but I didn't really, it was no point where I had like a full plate of food, you know what I mean, gorging myself. It was just like a little taste of this, a little taste of that, you know what I'm saying? And now I'm going to prepare to go to the gym, or I'm trying to decide if I went to the gym yesterday before I went and worked out, so I think I might just go to the park, get some steps, and just enjoy some of the sun that we have today, because it usually rains a lot here sometimes during this time of year. So I usually try to get out and get some vitamin D, walk, think, you know what I'm saying? But I decided before I actually do that I would record this video, because it's really fresh in my mind. And then I won't have the distractions of the outside. And maybe even when I get outside, I might record something else. So, but I want y'all to all be very mindful of one thing, right? All of the things that you should be thankful for may not be what other people are thankful for, right? Me personally, I'm very thankful for the struggle. I'm very thankful for them hard times, man. I'm very thankful for the times when I doubted myself, when I was financially in a bad place, mentally in a bad place. I'm very thankful for those heartbreaks. I'm very thankful for the betrayals. I'm very thankful for those times, right? Because those times, they calcified or cauterized me in a way where now there's nothing that I'm not. It's like, it's a blessing with wisdom, right? And even in the Bible, it speaks about how wisdom is like a blessing, man. It's like a entity that you should be thankful that you've obtained, discernment, the ability to see things before they happen, right? To where, as an older guy, you ever get the mentality that like everything is just a replay. You could pretty much call situations before they come, right? You can see things coming. You don't really stress about things. You always got a cool temperature. Your disposition is always chill. People always say that about me, like, yo, you always so chill, like you don't even seem like stressed about nothing. And you got to understand that ability to stay cool under pressure or no pressure is a blessing, man. You got to understand how many people live in a constant state of like chaos. Like they're always in a state of chaos. They're always in a state of worry, panic, fear, indecision. And as a man, you should be thankful for the ability to turn off the noise and focus, right? When you need to, even for whatever it is. You should be thankful for the ability to acknowledge your lowest points, because a lot of people don't. They forget about those times and they become arrogant. They believe that everything is set in stone. We know in this life, nothing is perfect. All you can do is push, try to live a righteous life to the best of your ability. And I've noticed that just with how the chemistry of life works, if that makes sense, that when you as a man choose to operate with a sense of righteousness with you, right? That life, the way it is meant to live, will become fruitful and benefit you in ways that people that don't live a righteous life will never understand, right? Like I said, that sense of peace that you have is so valuable to everything that allows you to go out and create and be imaginative and be a hustler. You know, for all my hustlers out there, those guys that like to go out and just make bread and they find different ways to get it, whether it's odd jobs or working a job or something on the side. You know, they always know how to build something, even if it's a little small business hustle, whatever, right? And all of them years that has been working for you is because you operate from a certain principle. You got principles. You treat people right. You treat people with respect. You show love. You don't go out and try to, you know, shiesty people and grift. You know, you keep everything authentic. And that about you is so valuable in this world of synthetic personalities, synthetic appearances, synthetic ideologies. You know, people are so robotic and mundane and programmed, and everybody acts the same, talks the same, looks the same, thinks the same. You and your authentic self, you are so valuable, right? And as a man, you might feel a sense of frustration at sometimes because there's women out there that don't see that in you, right? They don't understand the value in that. They don't see it, right? Because they're part of the game. They don't really know the difference when it's right there. And that's fine, right? Because there will be women who do see that, right? Just like Nas said on It Was Written, he said, I got no game. It's just some bitches understand my story. You see what I mean? That's a beautiful concept. That's a beautiful concept. You don't really, game is never something that any man should really care for, only to a degree of having confidence in yourself, right? And that all stems from your appearance. You know, you brothers that take care of yourself, you brothers that work out, you brothers that eat right, you brothers that don't drink and you're not drinkers, or, you know, you seldom drink and you really care about, you know, what you put into your body, even mentally. These things create an aura about you that is individual. You are one of one. There's nobody like you. And I think that is something that benefits all men that are cut from our cloth. And we need to understand how valuable that is, right? Be thankful for the idea that you aren't like anybody else. Be thankful for the idea that you see the world for what it is, right? You see the world for what it is, and you found your little slice of peace and happiness amongst all the chaos. You're not bothered by the things that other people are bothered by. That is an absolute blessing. That is a 100% blessing, right? You always find a way. There's always a way that you can maneuver through all the nonsense that usually would drive other people mad, right? It's a beautiful thing. And you should be glad that you had the life you had, right? At the time when I was that age and I was going through these things and, you know, losing friends and, you know, growing up in the chaotic ghetto and the hood and, you know, ducking bullets and shit like that. And, you know, these times that put the fear of God in my heart, right? You know, times when I thought I was out of here, man. I told this story a long time ago. When I was younger, I was playing basketball with a friend, right? And there were some dudes that was pretty much adjacent to us that were street guys, right? And it was just two. And my man, Michael Walden, rest in peace to Michael, he got killed in Atlanta. When we were around teenagers, we were young boys, but then he moved to Atlanta. And by the time we were around, like in high school, I heard that he got shot, right? And it's interesting to think about that, right? Because in that situation, we were both playing ball and these guys got into an argument. And I don't know if they were playing dice or whatever they were doing, but then the argument spanned and we saw all of them start running, right? And they just ran like right through us. And the guy that they were all beefing with, he got up and he started shooting. But he started shooting right past us. Like we were in the middle and they were running, and they were like, it was like, if you look at point A, point B, point C, he was point A, we were point B, and they were point C in a straight line. And he was shooting right through us like we wasn't there. And I literally felt and heard shots. You see what I'm saying? And my boy took off, and honestly, it was probably little minor movements that I was making that was keeping me from getting hit by the bullet. And you know what it really was? I ran, and then I ran back to get my basketball, right? And my mother screaming out the window, get in the house, get in the house, and I remember thinking, in that moment, I didn't feel the horror she felt, right? And it's wild to me that in that situation, I was the closest guy to the shooter, right? And I didn't get touched. And I think I was probably around maybe 11, 12, 13, something like that. And I remember not feeling the like, I looking at my mom like, why is she like, chill out? You know what I mean? And I probably got real close to death. I really could have been one of those stories you hear, young boy killed in a shootout, them things we talk about, right? You see on the news. And the sad irony of it is that I survived that. Maybe my angels pushed me out of the way or they did something. But then Mike ends up dying maybe 4 years later from a gun. You know what I mean? Even though we survived all of that. And everything that you've seen and the things that may have been traumatic to some people became a chapter in a story of a survivor for you, right? Even when I talk about my uncle, and a lot of y'all that follow me for a long time, y'all know I talk about my uncle. He sold a lot of drugs. He sold coke, and he had a lot of money, and all the guys in my family were selling a lot of drugs. And my uncle got pulled over one night and he had the coke in his clothes and he swallowed it. And he swallowed an 8-ball and he came home and he overdosed, right? And he fell out and he died. I remember I came out of my bedroom and I was watching him. This guy was my hero. And he was 24 at the time. I'm almost twice his age now. You understand? And the reason I'm twice his age now, I'm literally his age times 2. I'm 44. Well, 48 more, but I'm pretty much his. I've doubled his lifespan because of that moment where I watched his life leave his body. That very moment right there is the reason why I'm here now. The ironies of things, right? At that age, he passed away. And that moment changed how I looked at the street game. I didn't see it the way other people saw it. See, a lot of these young guys, they want to choose the streets because they never really understand how close it hits when it does go bad, right? And I would always see, and now I think about it, my grandmother used to always take me to visit him in jail. And she would take me to visit my other cousins in jail because after a while, all the drug shit, everybody started getting locked up and getting killed, right? And I started to see a lot of death in a short amount of time. Because a lot of these drug dealer stories and a lot of drug dealers that we look at or we looked at when we were younger, they don't have a long time reigning in the streets. We always think of it like it's 20 to 10. These guys don't These guys are in and out of the drug game in a couple of years. We're talking about either dead or in jail in a couple of years, right? So this was a span of a couple of years when everything came crumbling down. The cops started locking them up. People started killing them. And I would have all these situations where I would be close to the consequences. So when I saw that, it made me look at the drug game differently. I had the intellect to do it. I had the friends to do it. I had the means to go out there and buy drugs and come back and do these kind of things. And most I did was sell a bunch of weed. And then my cousin, who was a hustler, found out that we were selling, and he took our weed. He took our weed and told us, "Get the fuck out of here with this shit, man." He literally took it. He took all of it and didn't give us no money. He'd say, "Yo, fuck that. Y'all not doing this shit." You know what I mean? Because that's how it starts, right? You start off with a little ounce or some of weed or whatever. You try to flip that, and it gets worse and worse, and it just spirals, right? And that moment is what kept me from ever wanting to deal with drugs or deal with criminality in a way, because I saw the outcomes. The outcomes were always worse than people really think. And I made a video a long time ago about, people don't really understand what actual death looks like in the moment, right? Like when life leaves a body from a bullet and someone is unprepared for it, or they're not aware, even if they are aware, the way the body contorts when it hits the ground, when there's no life in it, it's awkward. Your leg is bent backwards, your shoe is off, your body is contorted and bent up, and people don't really understand. Like, you ever watch those videos of maybe somebody that gets shot or kills himself, and you see their body just fall to pieces like a bag of potatoes. And when you see those kind of things, or you see somebody laid out in front of you having an overdose, and their eyes are rolling back, and they're literally, like you see in the movies, uncontrollable seizures, and these things where I've never seen a human body do these things. It's like you didn't know it was capable of doing that. But in the moments before someone dies, those are the things that happen. People defecate on themselves. This is something that a lot of young guys in the street don't want to see, or that they don't want to realize, that when these times happen, you're never going to be prepared for it. And the prison pipeline, the thought process that prison is cool, and the idea that a lot of these little tough guys go to jail and think that they're not going to be victim to the actual monsters that exist in prison is funny to me, right? They go to prison and they come home, and these guys have PTSD, and some guys you meet that come home, they'll tell you all these stories of how they did this and did that, but they won't tell you the stories about the bad things that happened in jail, or prison, the things that were things that they want to take to the grave. They don't want to ever speak of, right? It is what it is. There's actual real guys who really did horrible things there. The worst of the worst kind of guys, right? That are so institutionalized that they can switch their mind to see you as a sexual object, even though you're a man. And it's only because they look at it like it's jail. It's not really sexuality. It's just jail or prison. You understand? And these young guys think that that's cool. And honestly, I'm thankful for these traumatic experiences. I'm thankful for these things, because it always set me apart. It always gave me a barrier. It always gave me a limit, even though I'm not saying a physical limit, but it gave me like a limit of danger where I always knew where the border was. Like, I'm not going beyond this point, because beyond this, or better, let me explain it better. A lot of you guys who grew up in these neighborhoods, you had an instinctual sense of danger that it saved your life, right? In a situation where another person who thought that lifestyle had its coolness to it ran towards it, and it might have cost them their life or cost them their freedom. A lot of you brothers got friends that you grew up with that are sitting in prison or gone. You know what I mean? For whatever reason. And it's because you saw danger that they didn't see. And that's something that when you explain it like that, it gives you a sense of the actual gratitude that you should have growing up in these chaotic, dysfunctional neighborhoods. You develop something that you're going to take with you the rest of your life. And and just for briefly, even with dealing with women of the ghetto, women of these bad neighborhoods, you develop a instinctual sense about women that is literally going to save you from them in their chaotic nature, right? You don't get mad about it. You don't get upset about it. But the things you saw extremes. Like the ghetto is extreme. That's not normal life. You understand? We grew up in an extreme environment. So you were trained under some of the most harsh circumstances in every metric of development of a child, that when you become a man, you're almost like chiseled out of diamond. You know what I mean? You're made of steel. And you're made of steel, especially when you add the intellect and the wisdom that comes along with a man who's very studious, who understands the world, right? Who gains wisdom through trial and error and through observing others. And add that on top of the actual experiences you have, man, you're pretty much untouchable, right? You're untouchable. You are a rare breed. You are a very rare specimen, especially if you're a black man, and just a man in general, because there's men from other races that have grown up the same way as us, right? And they are a different breed, and you know them when you see them. You know them when you meet them. You know them when you talk to them. You just know, right, that they're cut from a different cloth, and that cloth is very elite, man. And don't let anybody tell you differently. So that is something to be exponentially thankful for. The gratitude should be overwhelming. The idea that you survived what you survived, and you got a story to tell, and you get respect from people just by your presence alone. People are attracted to your aura because it's a rare energy, it's a rare disposition. You got a rare way of walking, a rare way of scanning a room when you enter it, a rare way of greeting people and spreading love in situations where other people don't even think about it, right? And it makes you stand out, and it kind of repels people from you, but that's a good thing too, because those people that are repelled by that type of energy, right? Because it works in a lot of ways, right? It's a lot of favor when it comes to survivability, hustle, the ability to seek out things and execute plans and ideas out of thin air, pretty much. But when it comes down to daily interactions with a lot of people, especially with women, you might tend to have like this Achilles heel, because you know too much. You understand too much, so you don't have, and this is something that a lot of men need to understand. You don't have, the thing that attracts a lot of women to certain men is the woman's ability to see that the man has that, how can I put it? He still has that fantasy alive about her. He can create the fantasy in his mind about her, whether it's a lustful fantasy, whatever, and it makes her feel like she's beautiful, or that he doesn't see things for what they are, and that she feels, from the way he talks to her, he submits himself in verbiage and the way he talks. He puts her on this. He treats her like a fan, pretty much. He treats her like a celebrity. And a lot of women are attracted to the idea of a man that treats her like a celebrity and is willing to submit himself to the position of a fan. And you're not a fan of anybody. You don't have that. You can't fake that. Even if you try. A man that is is with discernment and wisdom and knowledge, and he knows the world. He's seen so much. He can't fake that shit, man. Right? And it turns into women thinking you're not attracted to them. They think you don't like them. They may just be off-putting by how your seriousness, right? When you come from what we come from and you've adapted in a way, there's an air of seriousness about you. There's an air of no bullshit that only certain women from a certain era or cloth will even understand when they see it. You know what I mean? It's a certain way you stand. It's a certain way when you take a seat in a party, it's a certain way you position your arms, position your legs, a certain way you lean in your seat, that it gives off an air of seriousness, right? It's a certain way that you joke in public or be around friends or other people, that you don't never let it get too goofy, right? You don't never let it get too like where you're just a jester bouncing around or trying to make all the girls laugh. You know, that part of me died decades ago, maybe a decade ago, you know, trying to be the funny guy. I still have a sense of humor, but, you know, it's with very choice people. But I'm not just like Mr. Entertainment. And that's something that y'all got to understand, that, you know, women want to be entertained. They want a guy to joke and kiki and all that bullshit. And you don't really got that sensibility just to turn it off and on like you're some type of machine, entertainment box, you know? So it works for you and it works against you. But once you kind of recognize that that's like the aura that you've obtained, that's the aura that you've grown into, it's all right, man. Don't worry about it. There will be, like I said, there will be women that see that and say, yo, this guy's solid. He's a man's man. You know what I'm saying? It's different. Like I said, I had an ex tell me that. She's like, yo, you're like a man. Like, you're like a man. Like, you like get things done. Like, she really was like, really like looking at me like, yo, like, you really like a man. Like they really don't know what that is. A lot of women, they really don't. And when they get around it, they either be like, whoa, or they gravitate towards it. But a lot of them, they know that type of man comes with a lot of they can't just say and do anything around you, right? And they feel like there's an air of judgment on them. You know, and I told you, women don't like judgment. They don't like feeling judged. They don't like feeling like you're analyzing them, right? And oftentimes, without you even knowing and without you even realizing that your disposition, sometimes when you're around women, when you're talking, you're not just freely talking in the moment, like having fun and vibing, you know, as the kids like to say. You know, you're in a constant state of analysis, right? Like when you're talking to a woman, you're like analyzing, and you're listening to the words she's saying. You're listening to what she's saying. You're connecting dots on things. You can't turn it off, B. And usually, without you even knowing, a woman can sense that about you, that your gears are turning. You know what I mean? It's a way that you look, and it's a way that you are, that you just can't hide, you know, from an instinctive creature like a woman. That has to use her instincts. Their instincts are very tailor fitted to survive in the world. You know what I mean? Where they are the weaker vessel, so they have to have a very strong instinctual sense about things in ways that we may not even think about when it comes to analyzing men. They're going to look and they're going to see facial expressions. They're going to see a change in tone or the way you talk or the amount of talking you do when you hear something that might have offset you, and you might not be able to fake it. You know what I mean? So, and again, that is something to actually be thankful for, right? Because that is a skill that is so valuable in the life of a man that it's like, it's invaluable. Like that ability to analyze and collect data in a quick snap of a finger and be able to make the right call, right decision. That's how life actually is, man. It's like a randomized series of snap decisions that can dictate the direction of your life at any moment. You understand? So you gotta really like always be careful about feeling like you're missing out on things, when really you're actually ahead of the curve, and certain things don't even apply to you. You don't even need to experience, because either you already experienced them or they just don't fit the criteria of the type of person you are now, than compared to when you were a younger guy out there in the world trying to play the game and be a part of the foolishness. Now that you're a man and you're in that mode of, you actually actualize in your seasoned man, in your actual manhood, you don't need those type of skills the way other people do, right? You find more benefit in the things that you can master, the things that you can conquer, and the things that you can create. There's a way that you can develop yourself and develop your thinking process to where that you can always put yourself in a position to win. And that comes with great sacrifice of other fruits of the life that people in the world love to indulge in, but you don't really need those ingredients no more. You're already like a well-oiled machine without that. And that's the hard path that you chose. The hard path will get you to where we are now. And that path is the path that will carry you through life and enable you to create some peace and some type of stability, in a way that you will always, no matter what happens, you will always be able to find the path back to where you were, or at a higher level. You understand? So just be thankful is the message of this video. Be thankful for the essence of who you are as a man. You know what I mean? We be thankful for, people be thankful, I got a new house, and I got a new car, and I don't even be thankful about my new job, and I don't even thankful about them, right? All of those things are just environmental, right? Those are things that will orbit you always as a man who's a thinker, a man who's who has discernment. Those things of those material items will always orbit you. You will always be able to access these things if you apply yourself, because your mind will always be able to imagine a scenario or steps or a pathway to get it. So you never really stress about those things. You never really stress about money. You never really stress about those things, because your mind will always be able to create that. And the Most High, because you operate in a righteous way, that's the hard path, right? So the Most High will always lay something out for you. He will always give you a path. He will always operate, because he knows that he doesn't have to do much for you, right? He knows that he just has to point you in the right direction, give you a little bit of a nudge, and that your discernment will pick up on it and you'll go. He doesn't need to literally carry you, because he's put so much work into you. The Most High, he's blessed you in so many ways developmentally, that he can see that you will be okay. And when you do go through a hard time, like I said, all you got to do is do a little calibration, a little adjustment, and he'll throw you a blessing here, a blessing there, a little something here, a little something there, and then you'll find yourself right back on the path, right? So be very grateful that you are who you are, man. And that's something I want to leave with y'all brothers. I'm going to go out and get my little physical work in for the day. And I hope you brothers are enjoying the rest of the weekend, and that if you were with your family, you were with people who you love, and that if you were alone, that you were in a state of peace, man. And if you were out getting money, you was out getting money. You understand? And doing what you got to do. All right? So this is TMT, man. I hope you brothers are blessed forever. Cover your six. As always, keep walking the righteous path, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out. Like and subscribe. All that good stuff. Holla at me. One.